This episode is brought to you by the Wedding Painter's Blueprint, the premier online course for live wedding painters. I created the Wedding Painter's Blueprint in 2023 as a resource for live wedding painters who were looking for guidance, who were looking for mentorship, answers to questions, ways to avoid obstacles or trials in the job. The course is a combination of modules that include video instruction with assignments and assets and templates, things like that, with a community of painters around the world. We meet weekly for live Q&As, live critiques, and we also welcome guest experts in to share their knowledge as well. Because this is a guided course, we open enrollment once a year, and that enrollment window is open right now. Doors to the Wedding Painter's Blueprint open on February 18th and close at midnight on February 27th. If you love the information that's shared on this podcast, you are going to absolutely love the Wedding Painter's Blueprint. Please visit our website to learn more, www.stephaniegaffney.com/wedding-painters-blueprint, or just click the link below. Again, doors are only open from February 18th to the 27th, and after that, they will be closed until next year. If you have any questions, please shoot us an email at support@stephaniegaffney.com. I look forward to seeing you inside the Wedding Painter's Blueprint. Before I let you go, I do want to share an exclusive offer just for my podcast listeners. If you use the code COMPOSED, that's COMPOSED, at checkout when you're enrolling in the Wedding Painter's Blueprint, you can save 10% off the cost of enrollment. Again, save 10% on the cost of enrollment using the code COMPOSED. Thanks again for listening to the Composed Artist Podcast. I'll see you inside the course. Hey guys, and welcome back to the Composed Artist Podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie Gaffney, and today's episode, I'm going to be telling you all about my pride and joy, my baby, my online course, The Wedding Painter's Blueprint. So buckle up. We've got a lot to cover today. Welcome to The Composed Artist, the podcast where we explore the intersection of artistry, entrepreneurship, and self-improvement and continue to pursue a more composed life. I'm your host, Stephanie, an artist specializing in live wedding painting, living in the vibrant and soulful city of New Orleans. Over the past decade, my job has taken me all over the world, meeting and creating art in front of thousands of people, and has allowed me to create a colorful life for myself and my family. Now, I help other artists build confidence, develop their techniques, and fall in love with the art of live wedding painting. I invite you to join us for inspiring stories of creative journeys, practical tips for running a successful art business, and honest conversations about the joys and challenges of running a studio and being a parent. This podcast is here to keep you company, keep you entertained, and is full of resources to help you on your journey to create a business that feeds your soul, makes an impact, and is insanely profitable. The Composed Artist is the podcast for the bold, creative, passionate, and genuine artist. Let's get started. So a little bit about me. I'm a live wedding painter. I've been a live wedding painter for the past decade. I did my very first live wedding painting in 2015. And for the first few years, I doubled my bookings every year. So for the first year, I did 15 weddings. The next year, I did 30. The next year, I did about 55, something like that. Like, it grew so quickly. And I learned a lot of lessons the hard way. Okay. I made a lot of mistakes. I sat in my car at the end of these weddings in tears some nights. I banged my head against the wall in my studio dealing with difficult clients or difficult situations that came out of huge, like, professional mistakes on my end, poorly executed contracts, no contracts at all, poor client management, bad communication, very little client experience consideration. I had a lot to learn. And I learned a lot of lessons, like I said, the hard way. And over time, through trial and error, I learned a lot about painting techniques. I was not a painting major. I was a graphic design major in college. So my 4-year degree was spent basically I took one painting class, a figure drawing class, and then a couple other kind of fun classes like printmaking and photography and things like that. Like I was not trained to be a painter. So all of my painting education has come from, I'm self-taught, but I've been, learning through YouTube, learning through workshops, paying for workshops, paying to learn from other painters, things like that. Like I have been pursuing my painting education ever since then. But everything that I knew about painting could not help me deliver a job, deliver a finished painting in 4 hours under the pressure of hundreds of watchful, judgmental eyes at a wedding, the pressure of standing and being uncomfortable in that position, creating this painting in front of all these people. Nothing could have prepared me for this or trained me for this except for the experience that I had. Okay. So all of this to say, I learned a lot over the past decade, and a lot of it I learned the hard way. And over that period of time, I've had countless other artists like DM me or email me with like a one-off question. How do you paint blonde hair? Just very random questions. And I would just send a voice message or type out this long 3 paragraph long, whatever the limit is in a DM response to their question, because sure, here's how I did it. Here's how I do it. Here, try this. Maybe this will help. And then people were asking my advice on things, my advice on like painting technique or, business setup. How do you do your taxes? Things like that. And I realized that there are so many elements to the job that need to be considered, like running a professional, considerate small business, while also continuing to develop yourself as a fine artist, while also trying to do the work quickly but maintaining excellence in that way, while also understanding the frame of mind of a buyer in the wedding industry, while also tending to your client and the wedding planner's need. Just so many elements that people weren't asking necessarily the right questions. I would of course answer the question, but I would like look at their Instagram and say, "Oh, but that was the wrong question." There's so much more to this job, and I could not think of a better way to offer those answers, offer the opportunity to have it all the questions answered, other than an online course. So I signed up for my very first big online course in 2022. Nope, 2019. I was pregnant with my first daughter in 2019. And I had the idea, this is how long this has been kind of being planned. Okay. I started painting in 2015. I got married in 2018. By 2019, I was expecting my first child, and I wanted to create this online course. And I wanted to do it right. I didn't want to, because I had never done this before. I knew I didn't know what I was doing. I knew I had no idea what all was involved in creating and marketing and launching and actually like hosting an online course. So I signed up for Amy Porterfield's Digital Course Academy in 2019. And then I found out I was pregnant, and I was like, okay, I went through the course. I actually went through the course and did the steps, but then had to pause launching my own course because I was having a baby. And so that dream was put on the back burner in 2020. And then everybody knows what happened in 2020. And also, we became pregnant with my second daughter. So our first two are very close in age. So that was that whole year. And at the same time I was working, at the same time I'm working weddings. I started traveling more, surprisingly, when everybody was kind of reining in and everybody was rescheduling weddings. I was booking weddings in different locations and doing them. And then of course 2021 was insane. It was an insane year for the wedding industry because everybody that was supposed to get married in 2020 got married in 2021. And everybody that was supposed to get married in 2021 also got married in 2021. So it was a completely overwhelming and exhausting year. Okay. So was working, was doing all the jobs, also had 2 children at home, was balancing home life and doing the weddings, also doing commissions, and then roll over into 2022, still very overwhelmingly busy and booked. And at that point in time, I kind of hit a point of burnout. And this dream of creating an online course was still on the back burner, but still very much visible for me. This is something I wanted to do, but when on earth was I going to do this? When was I going to have time? So at that time, in around July of 2022, I got really burnt out. Okay, I've told this story before on the podcast, but I'll kind of revisit. I did 7 weddings out of state in the month of July. And around this time, we were actually trying to get pregnant again for our next child, and we were struggling. It was a year. We were trying for like a year. And it was just a really stressful time. And so after July, after the month of July, I think I actually had a couple weddings in June too. After I did those weddings, I took some time off. So for the entire month of July and the entire month of August, I didn't work. And it was glorious. It was glorious. Oh, we should all like it taught me, taking those 2 months off of work taught me a few very important lessons. This is all like a sidebar, by the way. It's part of the story of the course. I'll get back to the course, but just hear me out. Um, Being forced to take time off wasn't fun because you really had to stop and leave things like high and dry. You really had to step away from projects that you were in the middle of. It wasn't. I really enjoy planning. It is better to plan for a break because you can kind of wrap things up and then you could put a pause on incoming jobs, incoming commissions, incoming whatever. You can consider that ahead of time, close the door on a couple of projects, finish things up, get them out the studio, and then when you're actually on your break, nothing is waiting for you. Nothing is looming over your shoulders. Anyway, that was a little lesson that I learned the hard way. Hey, live wedding painters, have you taken a minute to evaluate your business yet? Have you started to think about next year yet? As this year comes to a close, it's important for each of us to take a moment and reflect. Did you hit the goals you set for yourself? Did you set goals at the beginning of the year at all? Was there any clarity in your vision for your creative business, or have you just been hanging on for the ride? Now, imagine starting next year with a clear plan, a year where you're building a stellar portfolio and booking dream weddings, showing up with confidence and taking bold steps toward your career goals. That's exactly what my goal setting workbook is here to help you achieve. Created for the members of my online course, The Wedding Painter's Blueprint, the Goal Setting Workbook is more than just a place to jot down ideas. It is your roadmap to success for the year ahead. With guided evaluations, you'll identify your unique personal and professional challenges. You'll address physical and psychological elements that might be holding you back. And you will set clear, achievable goals and map out the steps to reach them so you can turn your vision into reality. This workbook is free to download and print so you can physically write down your goals. It includes tools to help you track your growth and adjust as needed, and will actually help you take vague dreams and turn them into concrete plans, and turn those plans into real success. Next year doesn't have to feel uncertain. The Goal Setting Workbook will help you take charge of your career and step into the new year with purpose and direction. Click the link in the show notes to download your free version of my goal setting workbook and kick 2025 off with clarity. Another lesson also is that if you take time off, like if you don't post anything on Instagram for 2 months and then you post something when you come back, the engagement will pick right back up. The world, it's amazing how you're so afraid, especially when you run a small business and you market online. You're so afraid not to post. You're so afraid to be absent because maybe it's FOMO. You think people will forget about you. You think you'll lose relevance. You'll lose momentum. And in very small ways, maybe you do lose a little momentum, but it's not the end of the world. You can come right back on. People jump right back in. They start engaging right away. The world keeps on turning. Guys, take that break. Don't let social media like completely consume your life. Just another lesson that I learned in that break. But anyway, so after my little break, after my little sabbatical, we actually were able to get pregnant. And so that was really nice. Um, because that, we were ready for that. We were wanting that. And I got back to work. Obviously, I had the weddings on the calendar. I think I did take commissions that year as well. So this was the fall of 2022. And at that time, I was still getting emails and messages from people asking these questions. And I also was getting requests for like coaching calls and mentoring calls. Hey, can I have an hour of your time? Hey, can I have an hour of your time? And at the time, I was busy. I had a lot going on, but I didn't feel, with nothing prepared ahead of time, no structure. I didn't feel like I should be charging for that time. And so for a while I didn't. And then you realize you give way more. I was giving way more information than they were asking for, which they were grateful for. And that's kind of how I've always operated. I have a plan for what you ask me a question and I'll give you an answer, but then I'll give you an anecdote and then I'll give you advice and then I'll give it's just, it never ends. It's a curse. It's a blessing and a curse. But anyway, it was really evident that there was a desire for education in this sphere, in this industry. And at the time I was expecting, and it was, I guess, October. It was the end of 2022. And I was determined. It had been so long since I had the idea originally. So this was like 3 years since I originally decided, since I bought Digital Course Academy and kind of invested in that project and committed to starting this course. It had been 3 years and I was like, I can't let another year go by without doing this. Like, I want to do this. This is a goal of mine. No, I'm doing it. So I wrote the lessons. I created the strategy for the course. I wrote everything. There's like 55 videos, instructional videos. All of those videos I wrote. This was before I started using ChatGPT. So I wrote everything based on my knowledge. I tried to do it really well, you guys. I hired a copywriter to help me edit the instructional videos. A copywriter who has no knowledge of the live wedding painting world. She strictly helped me edit to make sure everything, the script for the videos was cohesive and coherent and effective. I hired a wedding videographer. So we're in the wedding world. I know a ton of videographers. And so I hired a friend of mine to film and produce the videos to the best quality. I did not want to record myself on my phone. I did not want to learn how to edit videos. I did have to kind of play with it so I understood what editing looks like on the back end so that I could help him out. But I had a professional videographer film the videos. So they are very high quality, you guys, and then edit them. I created all of the assignments. So the videos can only tell you so much. The videos tell you what to do, what's important, what to know. But then each video has some sort of asset attached to it. So every asset, every template, whether it's an email template, a contract template, some sort of template that you can utilize in your own business and make your own. Every assignment, anything that we learned in terms of painting technique or strategy, compositions, whatever, there was an assignment so that you can actually practice what you learned. Everything was written and designed by myself. Because I was a graphic design major, I was really going to town in Illustrator and InDesign and Photoshop. So all the graphics for every video. I mean, I made everything by hand. All during which time I was pregnant. It was exhausting. I still can't believe I achieved all of that. I started writing the videos after Christmas. So basically in the beginning of 2023, and then we launched the course in March. So I made the whole dang show, the whole thing, in 3 months. I could not have done it without the help of my subcontractors. I did have an assistant at the time who was also a graphic designer. So she was helping me kind of get all the assets like templated, but also make sure there were no typos. Like, I really did have a lot of help with that. But we filmed everything. It was insane. It was so much work, but there was a lot of momentum and a lot of good energy. And I'll always look back on that process with a lot of joy and pride. It a big undertaking. And if you're a member of the course, you'll know how beefy it is. It's a dense course, you guys. So that was the creation of the course. We opened enrollment. I had no expectation. I had no idea who would sign up or if people would sign up at all. The whole like promotional strategy was, I wrote this lesson today. In fact, the last lesson that I wrote, it was like the finale, like sending forth kind of message. I wrote it. I literally was waking up at like 4:30 in the morning to write the lessons before my kids woke up, so that whenever, you know, the video team showed up, like it was all scripted and ready. It was that quick. But I remember writing the lesson and then like getting on Instagram on my stories in tears saying, I just wrote the end. I just wrote the last message, and it's not it's not live anyway, but it's in my mind, it's done, but it's so far from done. But in my mind, that was the send off message. Like, I remember that moment. Oh gosh, it was such a labor of love. And we go through the course every year and all the information is still very relevant. And with every improvement, every upgrade that happens in terms of my knowledge of the wedding industry, my knowledge of wedding painting, my knowledge of anything, it's added to the course either by way of bonus video, bonus demo, live demo, and then we meet live every week as well. So I'm going to get into that in a minute, but I don't just not share any new things that I learn since I recorded it. Okay. Let's see. I finished recording. We went through the course. We ended up having 40 people sign up. And 40 in terms of like Instagram followers doesn't feel like that many. But if you imagine 40 people in a room listening to you, like attentively wanting to learn from you, 40 people paying for your product to learn from you, 40 people trusting you based on your reputation in the industry, based on what you've said, based on what you've shared so far, 40 people who have no idea what they're getting into because it's never been launched before. It was incredibly it was incredibly touching. I'm still shocked. And then the next year when we launched it again, we had about 40 people sign up too. Turns out 40 people is the perfect amount of people to have in a classroom, because oh my gosh, at the same time it feels like that is so many people, and not enough people, like at the exact same time. It's just the perfect amount of people. And anybody who had any questions throughout the course could email the support email address, and we would get on that as soon as possible. We would get answers and then respond. I mean, we were very on top of support. I do actually have help we host the course on Kajabi, and so I have people who are helping me through support with Kajabi, which is really helpful. Yeah, it's been a learning experience for me. I really like to take on a project that I know nothing about and then do my very best and just embrace all the lessons that have to come, like embrace learning and not being the best at it. When I started this podcast, I was like, all right, let's go. I've never done this before. It's terrifying. Imposter syndrome is heavy in the room. But it's fun. It's fun to like get through it and then look back and say, I did that. Yeah. So I also like that element of live wedding painting, because you feel like that almost every time you do the job. Every time you arrive to a venue, you feel that sense of, ooh, do you remember how to do this? Do you know what you're doing? And then at the end of the night, you're like, yeah, I did that. I don't know. It's fun. Are you still using cheap art supplies? Look, you don't have to tell me, but if you want to level up, you have to use better supplies. Come on, let's invest a little. I've been using Rosemary and Company for my paintbrushes for the past 5 years or so, and I have never thrown away one of these brushes. The quality is unmatched, and they're like reasonably priced. I hate to say it, but they're the best. So I love a long handled paintbrush. Okay. I love a hog hair or an ivory, which is kind of a mixed bristle hair. And Rosemary and Company, they have like so many options. So I would check them out. The website is www.rosemaryandco.com. That's Rosemary spelled Rosemary and co.com. Or you can just click the link in my show notes and it'll take you directly to my personal wish list. It's all the brushes that I use and recommend. So check them out and thank me later. So that was the creation story of the Wedding Painter's Blueprint. If I've left out any details, I'm sure they weren't important. Now, what's included in the course? I really wanted to cover the 3 basic areas of expertise in this job, concerning this job, which is running a small business, being a good painter, and then understanding how to work within the wedding industry. So the first couple of modules cover running a small business, contracts, emails, and email templates, client experience, any other like experts you should work with, areas that you don't necessarily need to be an expert in, but if you're going to DIY your business in the beginning, areas like bookkeeping and accounting and financial planning, like those are some things that need to be at least considered when you start your small business, whether to start as an LLC or corporation, or all the difference between all of those things. I'm not an expert in any of those areas. I'm a live wedding painter. I'm an artist. And so, there's elements of that. My legal team has created a very long document with considerations that every small business owner should consider and make when they're running their small business, when they're especially in the beginning stages. So we cover all of that in the first 2 modules. I think it's important to consider. Artists aren't really known for, I guess I can't speak for all artists. Like I said, I'm an artist. I am right-brained focused. That's my area of expertise. I am not good at like bookkeeping. I'm not good at numbers in that way. And so in the beginning stages of my business, I kind of ignored a lot of that. I didn't really keep up. I hired an accountant my second year in business, and I wish I would have hired an accountant the first year in business, that kind of thing. So we talk a lot about that, try to get people started on the right track. And then the second half of the course, but it's really modules 3 through 5, so it's the largest chunk of the course. That's all painting technique. That is as bare bones as composition and colors, primary, secondary colors, like how we work with colors, how we work with paint, our material list, all of those things. We have a whole lesson about traveling as a live wedding painter. That's really important. A lot of lessons I've learned, a lot of advice there. And then there's actually an entire module where you essentially shadow me. I recorded in real time the process of me creating a painting at a wedding. And then I recorded like a voiceover recording, kind of explaining everything I was thinking, every decision I made, every brush mark I made. It's just kind of an immersive experience into me painting at a wedding. And then the last few modules cover working in the wedding industry, marketing to people who are in this stage of their life, the emotions, the buyer types, things like that. All that, it's a very unique industry in terms of who's spending the money and what's important to them and how to speak to them. As we all know, the wedding industry is very inflated, and so if somebody's going to hire a painter to perform at their event and then take home this painting, the conversation that is had is different than the conversation that is had for a much more practical service in real life, in regular day-to-day life. So we talk a lot about that as well. And then there are tips also on like physical care. There's stretching. There's a video of me showing the stretches that I do at a wedding. And I'm like big pregnant. And so it's just, for me, it's like a timeless thing. It's like I can look back on that video and remember being big pregnant and showing you how I do these stretches because I work through the 8th month of pregnancy. And so a lot of conversations like that are had, like personal, real life. How do you pump? Well, it's a little TMI, but like it's a very women heavy industry. So if you want to have a family, how on earth if you're trying to breastfeed, how do you continue pumping while you're traveling through the airport? How do you do that? And so we talk a lot about that. Okay. Yeah, it's like I said, it's everything that I know, everything I've learned in the past decade. And it is simply out there as an opportunity for you. It's a resource. Okay. Nobody has to sign up for this course in order to be successful in this industry. That's not what I'm saying at all. Okay. It is simply out there for those who are searching for the answers to their very specific questions, very specific needs, as a live wedding painter. There's tons of resources out there for wedding photographers. There's not much out there for wedding painters. Thank goodness our community is incredibly supportive and incredibly encouraging. And there's Facebook groups all over the place of live wedding painters, live event painters, this and that. And people will drop in a question. 20 people jump in with an answer with their opinion, and that's great. People will drop in that we share referrals left and right. It is a wonderful community to be a part of. If you're an artist and you're considering becoming a live wedding painter, if you join today, if you like join the crowd, if you jump on this bandwagon, you are not alone. You should not feel in any way, in any country or part of the world, you should not feel like you're doing this alone. It is a very supportive community. And I'm really proud to be a part of it too, and to provide this resource, this online course. It's just a resource for you. So if I just want to throw it out there, if anybody has any questions, please email us at support@stephaniegaffney.com. We're answering every question. By the time this episode goes live, the enrollment will be open. So let me talk about the enrollment period. This is a guided course. That means that you can only sign up once a year, because when we close the enrollment period, I go through the course with you guys. I have a jam-packed schedule. I do a million things. I'm very fortunate to be very busy in my life and in my business. And when I'm going through the course, my members, my students are my priority. I show up live 3 times a week, and I literally on deck 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to answer support emails. Okay. This is my priority for the duration of the course. The course runs for 12 weeks from the introduction week to the final week. It used to be 10 weeks, but I added another implementation week because people were asking for that. The enrollment period this year opens on February 18th and closes on February 27th. So it is only open for 10 days. And then when doors close at midnight, they are going to be closed until next year. We can't accept new students after that because we will jump right into the introduction week. We will jump right into our small groups. We get the ball rolling with the course. We start making moves. We start taking steps forward immediately. And so it's important for everybody to sign up by a certain date. Okay. Also, I manage this course heavily by myself. Okay. I do have help. I do have support. I do have a VA, but it is heavily a one woman show. So if I had usually in the months leading up to the course, I do start getting an influx of emails, like support emails, questions about the course, and I answer every single one. And so if the course was open for enrollment all year long or for an extended period of time, I've just got a lot going on, and I really want to be able to be present and answer these questions. And so that's why doors are open for a period of time and then they close. And then we go through the course. So yeah, that's why there's a 10-day enrollment period. That's why. The course is composed of instructional videos that are kind of broken down into modules. There are 8 modules. So there are 8 modules, and then there are 3 implementation weeks, kind of breaking up the different segments. So there's another thing. You don't get access to the whole course right when you sign up because it's just way too much information. And because we're going through it together, we have live Q&A elements. Like, I really want everybody to be on the same page, and I don't want people jumping around. Okay, it's just way too much. You're going to get the information. Don't worry. So each module is released on a Sunday. This is an update. The modules used to be released on a Monday, but a lot of people are busy during the week. They have full-time jobs, they have kids, whatever. So they asked if they could get access to the modules on Sunday. They could get a little head start while they have a little free time on the weekend. Love that plan. Love that idea. That's great feedback. So we made that change. So the modules are released on Sundays, and then Monday's implementation day. That's great. And then Tuesdays, we meet live 3 times a week. And I know it feels like a lot. You don't have to be there every time. You can watch the replays. All of our live calls are recorded. That's another reason why I love this course. Everything's recorded. You get access to everything. You're free to submit questions to be answered, topics to be discussed. You can submit. Everybody gets the same notifications to submit stuff beforehand. So even if you can't be live, your question may be answered on the live call. and then you can watch the replay at your leisure. Okay. I try to get the replays uploaded by the end of the same day that the live call happened. So every Tuesday, we have a live critique for about an hour. The critiques provide you the opportunity to submit a painting or a study or anything that you're working on, anything you'd like feedback on. That is the perfect opportunity to put it up on the wall, on the proverbial wall, and have the group or myself provide feedback. Okay. Critiques are something that I miss so badly from art school. It is a really great way to learn humility, and it is a great way to learn how to accept feedback and how to give feedback on a painting, because we know that there's so much more depth to feedback than just, oh, that looks good, or that looks off. Being able to address terms like proportions and really, really figure out what might be the issue in something that is like consistently showing up as a problem, like proportions, or like, use of color, things like that. Being able to receive feedback is incredibly beneficial and helps an artist see problems that they may not see when they're standing in front of the piece working on it. It helps them see perspectives that are outside of the box, outside of what you're seeing and what you're putting into it. It's just really, really great perspective. I love critiques, so we added them, and I think a lot of people are really enjoying them as well. People are submitting their work and they're actually participating in the critiques as well. So that's been a really wonderful addition. We didn't have those the first year, we added them last year, and that's going to be something we continue moving forward. So those are live and they happen on Tuesdays. The tentative time for those this year is 1 p.m. Central Time. So I'm in Central Time, and I struggle with time zones because I'm an artist and I can only do so much. So everything is based on Central Time Zone. Work with me here, please. On Wednesdays, we have what's called Industry Insights. And this is an opportunity where we welcome a guest expert in various areas of business, various areas of art, and you can submit questions to ask them. You'll get the list of who each week's expert is. So you could submit questions if you do have specific questions for this person. Or we just interview them live. And all of these calls are recorded and again uploaded in your course library within the course, so you can go back and rewatch. These are not shared outside, so these are really exclusive to students. Okay. The podcast is a really wonderful public platform to share interviews and conversations, but these conversations, these are really more private. These are shared. A lot of this is advice or education knowledge that these experts have very generously agreed to share with my students explicitly. So that's a really special addition to the course as well. And we have those calls on Wednesdays at around 1 p.m. Central. They may fluctuate based on the guest's schedule, but we're going to keep those on Wednesdays to keep consistency with the members and with myself. And then Thursdays is my favorite day because we get to meet for 2 hours, and that is our live Q&A time. You can submit questions about, I try to encourage that you keep it module related, because a lot of the times you may have a question that half of the group has as well. And so we can get through these questions and we can provide answers and clarity a lot easier on this live call. The live calls are actually what motivated me to start the podcast, because I was able to go into much more depth in explaining answers, explaining, advice in terms of painting technique. It's more time for me to talk. And it's a really wonderful way for us to get down to the nitty gritty of personal questions, personal experiences, things like that. And so the live Q&As have always existed in the course and are going to continue to exist. I think the first year we had them at later in the afternoon, like 3 to 5 p.m., but we're bumping that up because a lot of people have kids, and that's really cutting it close to family time in the evening. All of these calls are recorded and uploaded the same day. They take a few hours to download. We host them on Zoom. Originally, I wanted to host them on Facebook Live, but the very first Facebook Live call, we had a whole bunch of issues and it was just a nightmare. And so we immediately switched to Zoom. So anytime that you are inside the course and you hear it recorded and referred to as a Facebook Live, It's a Zoom link. We're going to send you a Zoom link. Don't worry. All of the live calls are in a calendar. We have a shared calendar, so everybody gets any update, any change to the calendar. Also, any change to the calendar is noted in an email, and the email is blasted to everybody. So there's a lot of correspondence that goes out from our team to you so that you're kept up to pace. You're not going to miss a meeting or a time change for a meeting. So every live call that we've ever had has been recorded and uploaded to the library. So one really wonderful aspect of the course is that if you enroll this time, if you enroll during this enrollment period, you immediately have access to all the recordings from past live calls. How cool is that? Every live call that exists from last year and the year before, because we've gone through it twice, this is our third year going through the Wedding Painter's Blueprint. They're all available and they're all organized in folders like 2023 live recordings, industry insights for 2023. And we've only done industry insights for 1 year, but the live calls you could see for 2022 and 2023 and 2024, excuse me. So when you enroll, you will immediately have access to our welcome module, and the welcome module includes videos that help set you up for the course. So you will need to subscribe to the calendar. You'll need to join the Facebook group because there's a lot of correspondence that happens in the Facebook group, a lot of community encouragements, reminders, things like that, a lot of sharing, a lot of questions. It's a Facebook group. People share what they usually share in a Facebook group. Like I said, the calendar is a really useful resource because that has all of the reminders for the live calls and also the module drops, and then any changes, any reminders. So like for the critique happens on Tuesday. You have until Monday evening to submit your work for review for the critique because we have to prepare that call. We have to prepare that presentation of sorts. So you'll get all of those reminders in the calendar. We also have an element of small group meetings, which we're going to try to be more involved in helping you set up this year. Last year, a lot of people struggled to find the right members for their small groups. I recommend that you meet with up to 5 people. Okay. I want it to be a small group of friends that y'all can really get close with and get intimate in a way that you can build trust and really pass and receive feedback and critique and ask the hard questions. It's just an added level of camaraderie, an added level of community. And then you can meet at whatever time works best for the group. Okay. So this year, we're going to be more intentional about helping you guys set up into small groups that work best for everybody. Okay. And then finally, this year, our big addition, I try to update the course every year. I try to add value every year. This year, we are adding weekly assignments. Okay. So if you think, this doesn't sound like a lot of work at all, give me more, which I know nobody's thinking that. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. I fully understand. I want you to have a dedicated amount of time, so 12 weeks, dedicated amount of time with organized information, small bite-sized deadlines, actionable work, okay? Because I want you to make progress. And then I want it to end. I want you to have an ending point. But also, I want, if now's not a great time or if you need more flexibility than that, I want you to be able to continue to have access to everything moving forward. And you will. Everyone has access to it's lifetime access until the world ends or the internet goes away or whatever. For whatever reason outside of my control, you'll have access to your course, okay? So at the end of last year, I asked for feedback. I sent out a survey and asked for feedback. And we've made changes that we felt were absolutely wonderful feedback. And one of the things that was actually asked by a few people was they wanted to be able to work on the same thing at the same time as their fellow classmates, instead of, well, you're working on your project and you're working on your painting, and one person may have a wedding this weekend, but one person may not have any weddings coming up, and so they don't have anything to show. One person may be working on a studio commission. I don't know, it was just kind of everybody was working on their own thing while learning the same thing. And so they were asking for something, maybe weekly, maybe a weekly assignment that everybody could work on together. And then we can all review and we can all discuss in the form of a critique. And I really like that idea. And I didn't want to add too much more work on your shoulders. on your plates rather. But I think a little 1 hour study a week would be really beneficial and really fun for us to all work from the same reference photo. And so I have a plan. I have a plan. I'm so excited. Everybody will receive this plan and receive these assignments every week for the rest of the course. But they are going to be small paintings, and we're all going to have the same reference photo, and there are going to be different challenges. So I like implementing challenges like use a limited color palette or use brush economy, use 20 brush strokes. Things like that. Like I learn so much when I do those exercises. And so that's what we're going to be practicing in addition to everything else. So that's this week's addition to the course is the weekly assignments that we can all work on, and we can submit those to our small groups for critique. We can submit those for the weekly critique if that's what we want to talk about. I am open to your feedback as we go through the course as well. We're walking this walk together. We're going through this journey together. I want it to be as fruitful and as fun for you and as insightful as it possibly could be. I am, as you all know, a mother of three. I have a podcast. I have my own live painting business. I do all kind of stuff. And I personally like to cook dinner for my family. So my time is limited and precious. And I know that yours is too. And I respect that. So I very intentionally promote flexibility and promote doing what you can when you can. Okay. So I'm going to be supportive of that. You're never going to hear me give anyone a hard time because they don't show up to the live calls. In fact, I will tell you, out of the 80 odd members that we have in the course from the past 2 years, usually about 20 to 30 people are able to show up for the live calls. And a lot of the time it's not the same people. So you do what you can. Okay. I love it. I love seeing people show up when they can, how they can, and take big strides in their business. So the course has been incredibly rewarding for me to see everybody grow as artists and as business owners. I love to see artists making money doing hard work. Like I love to see people earning good money. Um, I believe that there's room for everybody. I I have no ounce of um, insecurity in my body in a way that I'm concerned that y'all are gonna take all my jobs. That was a concern that somebody shared with me when I was creating the course. Somebody who is better than me, more advanced than me. She was like, "Why would you train your competition?" And I was like, I could not possibly duplicate myself. Even if I had an apprentice come in and learn over my shoulder for 2 years, that person could not replicate me and who I am and what I bring to the table. And I don't think anybody could do that for anyone, especially in this world where we're creating art that is so organic and so authentic because of the situation in which it's created. I don't believe that at all. And I don't care one way or the other if everybody here in the course makes way more money than me and books way more weddings. I think it's beautiful. I love to see people succeed. I love to see people post these reels and see them go viral. It's so thrilling. I love it. I love my job. I love being a live wedding painter. My husband tells me all the time to work less, like be home more. We miss you. He's asking me to rein it in, and I I am trying to rein in my bookings because I've been doing this for 10 years. We're growing our family. I've got a lot of other little projects going on, this course being one of them. And so I don't my goal is not to do as many as possible as has been in the past. But I'll never stop. Like I could never see myself not doing this job. I'll never stop, even if I do it for free, even if I do it for fun. It's absolutely not. This is the best job in the world. And I want to see other people succeed in this career as well. So that's why I created the Wedding Painter's Blueprint. I'm completely transparent. I'm completely authentic. I try to be. I'm an open book. Yeah, it's so much fun. I hope that if you're interested in joining the course this year, please do. Enrollment is open right now at the time of this recording, at the time of the launch of this podcast as well, this episode. The course will close for the year. The enrollment will close on February 27th of this year. If you're listening to this episode and you're like, yeah, I want to sign up, but it's after February 27th, 2025. If you go to if you go to the page linked in this episode on the website, it will forward you to a wait list to join us for next year. Okay. You are welcome to sign up for a coaching call. We will also drop a link to learn more about signing up for a one-on-one coaching call with me. Those I will take throughout the year. But the course, like I said, the enrollment period is open for 10 days only from February 18th through the 27th of 2025. And after that, you're more than welcome to join the wait list. The wait list is not, we don't take a certain number of students. There's no limit to the number of students we will allow join. It is only limited to the sign up period, the length of time the cart is open. If you join the wait list, your name will be added to an email list, and everyone on that email list will receive notification when we start the launch process for the next year. Okay. If you sign up for the wait list, you'll receive a couple more emails, a couple freebies. We've got some really wonderful downloads and resources for free from the website. You can also go to stephaniegaffney.com and check out those free resources there as well. The podcast is also an incredible resource of information and inspiration. It has been so much fun to interview other professionals that I admire in the industry, other experts in other areas of business in the wedding industry. I can't wait to bring on more and more other people, more people that I admire and want to learn from. It's a wonderful platform for my students to share their growth and the lessons they've learned. It's been really fun to have conversations with students of the Wedding Painter's Blueprint and hear their feedback, hear what their concerns were before they signed up, and how the Wedding Painter's Blueprint has helped them overcome those fears and reach success that they never dreamed was possible. That has been, it's been so rewarding. As a words of affirmation, love language type of gal, hearing people sing the praises of the course is absolutely uplifting and life-giving for me. So yeah, that's kind of an overview of the course. You heard the story of how it came to be and everything that went into creating it. Please visit my website at www.stephanigaffney.com/wedding-painters-blueprint. And technically painters in the course name has an apostrophe because it's possessive. But if you just type it in, there's no apostrophe. I feel like I have to say that because I want to type it in every time. But if you don't want to type in all of that, then just click the link in the show notes and it'll take you right to the page to learn more and then to enroll if you so choose. Again, please ask any questions that you may have about the course. You can email us at support@stephaniegaffney.com, or you can also email hello@thecomposedartist.com. That is our official email for the podcast. Either one of those will be answered very promptly. If you're listening to this episode before February 27th and you're wanting to become a wedding painter, or you're just getting started and you want all the answers from a pro, the Wedding Painter's Blueprint has those answers. And I would be delighted to join you on your journey to success in this career. It's so much fun. You should do it. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. And again, please join the wait list if you're listening to this in the future. Otherwise, have a wonderful weekend. If you have a wedding this weekend, best of luck. And I will talk to you all very soon. Bye for now. Thank you for tuning in and joining us on this journey of artistic exploration, entrepreneurial growth, and personal development. Remember, you have the power to create a life that is both fulfilled and balanced. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please subscribe to The Composed Artist on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And don't forget to leave us a review. Your feedback means the world to us and helps us reach more creatives like you. Until next time, keep creating, keep dreaming, and keep pursuing that composed life. You got this.